Whether or not you take away his Coviiii by picking it, you ban away his Hercules and Sobek, he leans on that last pick tier, and he performs excellently. And the momentum is certainly here. For Rival, Astral Authority have been a little cold. I think they need to figure something out if they want to keep themselves in this best-of-5 set.
Ryan put it perfectly. It's just 2 games. We've seen this team win 2 games in a row countless times, and this is where Gundy has to earn his money. Gundy being the coach on the back line. This is where, look, we always talk about how coaches impact the draft and how coaches impact the X's and O's. There is a very real human element of competition, and there's a very big part of the coach's job that is to get these guys' heads into a right spot.
Someone has to rally the troops, and if it's not him, then I don't know who it is, because the way that Astral was playing it was as if that they had like a 2-game advantage between the tower dive at 15-minute mark, which led Rival back into the game, versus also Coviiii doing a very questionable taunting around 20.5 minutes or so that led to his ultimate demise.
That was, I kind of liked that one, honestly. Karma, man.
The Rapio scoop and poop.
Yep, just pick him up and put him down. Either way, heading into what could be a 3rd and final game victory, for Rival. Astral do have that 1 game, but that game, it's important to note, came from the advantage that they had coming from the winner's side. They still have yet to really earn themselves a victory. Astral bans out Robin, Rival bans out Odin.
Well needed Robin ban there, actually. I think that is already a very smart adjustment that Astral Authority is making towards this draft. And the Ratatosker as well. It is high that this god gets taken away here, and very ecstatic, and even to see a different jungler have to hit the map outside of the Robin and outside of the Ratatosker.
Terra first selection overall. Astral Authority, go ahead and grab that one. No surprise to see the Earth Mother come out.
That's something that they rely on. The peels are just really good and solid, and this time it leaves Astral Authority the Zeus ban that they didn't do, so that could be something that 50-meter fly really relies on. We saw a fantastic performance out of him in the previous set, and he's had a fantastic tournament all throughout with the Zeus, and I'd be shocked if Rival don't lock the Zeus.
Well, we'll certainly see if you're shocked or if the opposition will be. Right now it's Coviiii and the Discordia, so opting for the Discordia over the Zeus. You're furrowing your brow over there, Tony.
So, I mean, he did have 2 good games with the Discordia, getting off great strides, setting up his teammates well, and I think if you're more comfortable now with the Discordia in this set, Astral hasn't had a response for the Discordia. They couldn't really shut him down outside of the long-distance raw snipes that oBoronic had, so that could be something that Astral lean on.
I think it's just the Terra pick. If you try to play Zeus into Terra, you are just going to get rooted into Pound Town, and Astral Authority will swarm you. And I think that Rival right now, the success they've been able to find in this set has been off of the back of clean team play that has allowed for 50-meter fly to get off a lot of the free casting like we were just mentioning, and he just would not have that, I think, due to the Terra. So just Discordia, you need that safety feature.
Speaking of safety, Jingwei, yet again for Coviiii, is something that he needs to kind of avoid the action out of a Poorish Coast. He's such a threat and a nightmare. It doesn't really matter who he's against, because when he's piloting any god, he's just so confident. So Jingwei, one of the safest hunters to go up against a Poorish.
Camera is sitting on oBoronic here, mid laner for Astral Authority. He's been the star. He's been the guy. He's been the #1 option. We've seen him play a number of characters. Thoth will be a strong one as well. He likes to go to the Hebos when he knows he's got to carry. He likes to go to the Ras when he knows he's got to carry. But Thoth, absolutely in his wheelhouse. And it's a lot safer. When you're going up against a team like Rival, the Hebo, probably not super safe. So I think I like this idea.
Watch your step.
But it will be the Giannis, who, again, this is one of the characters that oBoronic looked fantastic on earlier on during the week.
The reality of it is Astral Authority have to win this game, or else we see EU take the set 3-1.
Yeah.
And it would be quite the upset of console history, I would say, at least for recent memory. And I think that the Giannis pickup is a little bit necessary here. Astral have kind of been lacking some of that early game control. I think that the Giannis is going to be a great disengagement or engagement tool, probably mostly for the disengage, because Astral, I think they just need to slow Rival down. These games have not been very long matches, in fact, and Rival have had plenty of time to just kind of run things the way that they choose. And I think that Astral, just if they can slow the pacing, they might be able to slow down some of this momentum.
Second round bans coming out, 2 Hunters out by Astral, and it's going to be 2 Junglers out by Rival. The ROM selection for the Reapers.
And ROM is going to be an interesting look, considering the late game potential should outweigh Jingwei in the long run once the 5th item comes around. But speaking of disengaging for Giannis, that's why Rapio was locked in for the cripple. Good luck getting away from that one. Astral Authority throwing a curveball with a double assassin.
I got to tell you guys, I actually really, really like this. And I'll tell you why. This is an elimination game, and we've seen the solo laners be very aggressive, right? If this is Bakasura solo or Hunbat solo, right, which is, I think that's a little bit more relevant than the Terra solo, would you say?
I would definitely prefer Baka over Terra.
And so with that in mind, this is Astral going, all right, normal solo lane as far as on the 0 to 10 aggression scale is at a 6. This set, this meta, we've pushed it up to about an 8 and a 9. What if we just crank it up to 11 and pick Baka?
I want to see an Awilish pick.
That would be pretty hot.
That'd be beautiful.
I would love to see Rapio running the Awilish jungle. She's not exactly the most contested pick in recent history, even with console. I think we haven't even seen an Awilish in like forever, in fact. And she was so popular during like the heyday of the Eager era for North America, but that has kind of died down. Mifflin not really being around in the scene for the console side of things anymore.
Still streaming.
Still streaming, though. Sure. Shout-outs to Mifflin. He's a good dude. But I think that Awilish could be a super strong niche pick here, and this jankiness out of Astral has really permitted that opportunity towards Rival. They do have the one-game advantage here, and as a jungler, I think that Rapio has probably recognized that. It's just the risk versus reward of trying to run the Awilish.
I love having the players here in the studio because I'm not reading his lips. I would if I could. It's not an integrity thing. I just can't do it. But watching this, I mean, just looking off of his facial expressions and everything, I feel like the conversation was, all right, look, Awilish is a nice pick because I think it's hard to miss the Awilish selection. But going the Thor, this is a great pick that Rapio has. This is very vanilla.
Yes.
This is so classic.
This is historical pick, actually, as well. Something that he's been leaning on quite heavily.
Did you say historical?
No.
Oh.
Well,
You're hearing what you want to hear, Tom.
I am. Historical, historical. Either way, this matchup has been hysterical, and Rival looking to keep laughing to the bank. Astral have to win 2 in a row. This one looks so interesting. And like I said, I like where they go with their backs against the wall. I always look at elimination games as a big deal, and Rival on the PC side goes the weird stuff when they have their backs against the wall elimination game. Astral, the Bakasura jank, isn't good enough to stretch this.
No.
Taco?
I think Rival might 3-1 this.
Honestly, I'm not giving you an answer. I'm going to weasel out. But Finch and Ryan have the call.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Taco and Toli as well on the desk. Wow, we're going into this game, and Bakasura and Unbots, those are the picks you take with your last 2 picks in an elimination match.
I mean, Wolves, since he came into the scene, was willing to play anything and everything in that solo lane and do very well with it. I remember getting beat up by his Ao Kwang solo back in the day. This dude can play anything. So if there's someone who can do it, I believe it can be Wolves. And I love the first 3 picks for Astral as well. Comfort picks across the board, strong meta picks as well. Coviiii gets his Jingwei, oBoronic gets the Giannis. But I just feel like Rival has all the momentum in the world right now.
Well, I get why our desk might have felt like they were leaning towards Rival. They've looked so strong. You do have a chance, though, to vote as well in Mixer Chat. That poll should be up for you. It is certainly going to be Wolves, who's on the Bakasura, and then Layers taking the Unbots into the jungle. Some bots pick we've seen get prioritized, but not exactly do as well in practice so far as well. Layers is going to have to make sure that he's positioning perfectly well to get the most out of this.
Man, it's going to be difficult for Layers and for Wolves to kind of withstand the pressure of Predators and Rapio, but this could do it. I mean, Cullen gets a lot of defense, a lot of power, but Baka doesn't really care about that. True damage does a lot of work for you in those regards.
And his sustain in lane can be pretty strong as well. So we'll see how Predator's able to take it in the lane, if that appears to be the option that Wolves wants to go with here. We'll see what he levels up later. He has not leveled up just yet, as he actually moves into the jungle where Predator's just kind of waiting for him patiently. Wolves going to recognize it. He's going to go for the attack. I think he wants to go in and try and get this grab anyway.
Yeah, he's going to go in, eat a minion, take 1 minion away, plus this will mean that he'll have it up a little bit earlier whenever the wave meets up in the actual normal part of the lane that you want to fight with. Plus, it does give him an early Warrior's Blessing stack, which will be a little bit harder for Wolves to get in comparison to Predators, because Predators has some ranged abilities, whereas Wolves does not.
Inbound and Coviiii come right over to their purple buff. Last time we saw them do red because it's a little further away, but this time Rival are going to be here to try and strip it away. They can't quite get it. Instead, they want the damage. Coviiii already has got to retreat when Sprint comes out over there in the dual lane of Rivals.
Both sides use a Sprint, but only one side gets the buff, and that is Astral Authority. So Rival don't get a whole lot out of it. I don't know, those 50-50 calls on the buffs, I don't really like it from either side. I think that getting your guaranteed farm is usually a little bit better. If
not even when you're invading, go for the 50-50?
Well, if Rival just goes straight to red and then you force Inbound to make a choice,
sure.
You know, I think that you could put yourself in a better spot in a situation like that than just trying to get the 50-50, because now look at this, it's Coviiii and Inbound who have the XP advantage.
And they're ready to try and take this purple buff away. Vaporous Coast has to retreat. DineOhSaw not going to be able to stop them as well. Inbound and Coviiii now both level 2, and they've got yet another purple buff going for themselves as Rival comes up and secures their own red buff with 50-meter fly and Rapio.
It's just that Rival takes so long to go from purple to red, and then they miss the entire wave. That gets pushed under tower. Now they don't get any of that XP. There's so many things that you're missing by just trying to go purple. Okay, we didn't get that. Okay, we'll go to red. Okay, now we got to back up. You know, it's difficult to play it that way.
But Coviiii and Inbound forced them to make that tough decision, though, by going right to the purple. A lot of the times we see them go start at red so that they don't have to worry about potentially getting invaded on, as Wolves does get very low. Sprint coming out from Predators, but now Wolves is turning it around looking for the fight. The root turns around the push, but it ends up falling instead to Predators. More Wolves. First blood on the Bakasura solo.
And that's what you want to see out of a weird sort of closet pick like Bakasura, is just the ability to know exactly how much damage you can do and how much you'll take, knowing that he's got the advantage in that lane there, where even I'm like, oh, he's got him. Oh, wait, maybe he doesn't. Predators is going through that same sort of mindset, right? Like, I think I got him. Maybe I'm in trouble. I'll turn around. Maybe I can kill him. You don't really know, because when was the last time Predators played Baka versus Coviiii?
It's probably been a minute since he's had that last matchup, but Wolves, on the other hand, looking very comfortable with those Butcher Blades going. You're going to jump in and try and get some extra clear. Predators is here, though. Try and slow him down. He does do an attack, so he'll take some tower damage. Meanwhile, DineOhSaw is also going to be taking some damage and has to retreat.
Duo lane looking much better this time around for Astral Authority. Got first blood in game 1. Game 2, it didn't go quite as well for them. And now in game 3, it's Terra Jingwei is a really potent combination that is not only really good in tandem with one another, but good for these individual players as well. So I love the switch up here in the duo lane.
Now, Rapio is coming down looking for the blue buff invade to try and hurt Wolves a little bit more here in the solo lane. But, I mean, with this is a chance for them to win the entire tournament championship point that they're on. He goes back to the Thor. It kind of feels like going back to an old faithful stable, right? What is he looking for from this Thor pick in particular?
I think it's just consistency and kind of safety. I completely agree with Taco. I think a Willish pick here would have been great, and Rapio's played it before.
Yeah.
A little surprised they didn't go for it, but it is a little bit riskier, I suppose. This is just, I know that even if I fall behind, I've got a stun. I've got an ultimate that is going to impact fights. Those are important qualities to have, and Rapio's been playing this god for a long, long time, but he's played Thor on land before and has had some rough performances on it, so I'm looking forward to see how well he's going to be able to keep that momentum going that he earned for himself on the Robin, because Rapio has played lights out so far this set, and when Rapio plays that well, Rival looks like a world-beating team on the console side. They look really, really good whenever Rapio is playing with confidence and playing in the right spots of the map like he has the first 2 games of this set.
He's going to back now, though, finish off those boots. He is level 5, has the Anvil of Dawn available a little bit ahead of the Fear No Evil from Layer, so he'll have an opportunity if he does want to look for a gank. Wolves is very pushed up here in the solo lane, so that is an opportunity. Only has the sprint, so it certainly could have a chance to try and lock him down, but Rapio instead going to make sure he grabs his speed, just going to wait on that to spawn.
And speaking of comfort levels, we were just talking about Rapio for Thor. I mean, Wolves has played so many Bakasura games. It just destroys the ranked scene with this pick consistently. This is his, I guess I want Elo now sort of pick. Everyone's got to have 1 or 2 of those where things haven't been going well for you in ranked or whatever, and you got to just put the hammer down and say, I'm winning this next game. Bakasura is one of those picks for Wolves. And a lot of time it's because in the ranked scene, you know, against uncoordinated teams, Baka can run rampant, just eat your backline alive, steal all your buffs, that kind of stuff. But I really think Wolves has what it takes to make it work at this level as well, not just in those, you know, pub stomp sort of situations.
And I like this pick into Predators in particular, who is going to take the boxing matches with you all the time and play over aggressive as Rapio goes aggressive, lands the wall, but Fear No Evil is here from Layers, forced to go to the hammer to try and teleport away, but Predators knocks up into the ultimate from 50-meter fly, perfectly taking the kill on the Layers.
And Rapio's up in the sky, possibly looking for Wolves, but waits a little bit too long. He's got to make that decision if he's going in or not, but was a little bit too low in that spot to really take advantage of it. Love that play between Predators and Fly, though. That is, you know, really good foresight from Fly to know that he can use that ultimate in that spot and still get it.
oBoronic, I don't think could get through the portal. Still going to be okay, though. DineOhSaw doesn't have quite that much damage, but yes, that coordination from 50-meter flying Predators was excellent over on the solo lane side, and that was initially the aggression from Rapio onto the blue buff, which it looks like Wolves was able to secure in the end, and they were able to turn that around into a kill for themselves to even things up a bit in the solo lane.
But now Rapio kind of loses some momentum on ganking without purification beads. Against a comp like this where you can get CC'd really, really easily, Fear No Evil, even Regurgitate will stop that hammer throw from you can't teleport to it anymore, and that's kind of Thor's main escape. So all of a sudden, I think the Rapio may have to think twice about his ganks for the next minute or so.
Certainly could be some problems for him as Wolves continues to box it out, but we were talking a little bit about the Bakasir into Predators in particular matchup, and I think that's what Tom was sort of alluding to on the desk, right? If Predators is going to put himself in a bad position, and I don't know someone who might be better at punishing you out of position than Bakasura, especially if he drops that Regurgitate down into that cripple field. I mean, he can start shredding.
True damage, man. You don't need to build any pen, you don't need to build any power, it doesn't matter, you're getting hit for a lot of damage with every single auto attack, no matter what you build or he builds. And I think that it's a great idea from Wolves, and it looks like he could be going into an early stone cutting, could also be an early hasten katana. It's kind of what he wants to go for. Most Bakasuras will elect for an early hasten katana, and I think that's likely the play here, but stone cutting to give himself some tankiness on top of good power at the same time, steal away those protections from Predators or Rapio. I wouldn't mind that idea either.
Predators has the ward here too, so he knows that this buff is happening, but it's very difficult to try and out-secure Bakasura with that Eat minion, so he is going to be able to confirm his own blue buff, even with that vision there from Predators, and head right back over to lane, so not going to be able to strip it away. And that was with Rapio and 50-meter fly kind of leaning a little bit towards the solo side. They were by those mid-harpies, so he had some backup, but Predators is in trouble. Knockup comes out perhaps a little bit too soon, but pushes him back into the tower, and the root lands. Now the ultimate from Rapio is a little bit off the mark, but teleports to the hammer and puts him down.
That's just an outplay by Predators there. He baits in Wolves perfectly in that spot. Needed a little bit of help from Rapio to get the finishing blow on that kill, but love the back step there as well to make sure that he gets that push in a tower. It's not quite tier level, but I'm sure Predators feels good about it nonetheless. You can tell why these two characters are a big part of his god pool. Loves that little back step. We saw him play the Hercules earlier today. That push in a tower is something that Predators utilizes very well.
As an example of Wolves going a little bit too far, as the entirety of Team Rival, it feels like, is here trying to defend their red buff. Portal comes out as well from oBoronic, but 50-meter fly just drops the ult onto Layers, but Layers is free now to blow him up. Huge 50-meter fly falls immediately. Now the stun's going to come out. DineOhSaw able to take down Inbound in return. 1-for-1 support for mid, but Rival are ready to keep pushing.
Look at where Predators is. He's starting to make a rotation early. Decides instead to just go for the farm potentially. Wall gets stuffed by the Gold Fury. That'll break player deployed walls right away, but here comes Predators on one of those between tower rotations.
And Predators here, oBoronic is able to make it out with the portal, but that's tough. I get it. Rapio, that's where he wants the wall to be, but he's got to know you can't put it there. So I don't know, maybe just hold it in that situation. That was a chance they really could have got something, but instead gets deleted by the Gold Fury, and now Wolves able to put good damage into Predators with those Butcher Blades, man.
Again, one more auto with the two should do it. Yeah, Predators just gets crushed by Wolves, and the Bakasura pick has worked out thus far.
And that's the exact moment that I'm talking about when I say into the Predators matchup in particular, as now Rapio has to run as well. When Predators is that far forward and anyone else is just smacking him with a couple autos, it's not that big a deal. Bakasura, though, can punish you for being that far forward.
It's a great point, and it's worked out so far for Wolves. I just wonder if he's going to go for that hasten right here, because the way that he's played, I think that's exactly what he needs to continue this aggressive play style. And once he gets level 12, gets access to purification beads, it's going to be a lot easier for him to stay alive with the threat of the Rapio gank or 50-meter fly on the gank as well. I also love the Bakasura into the Discordia, because Discordia will often hide in the cooldown cloud, as FDOT likes to call it. Baka's Regurgitate gives him the cone-shaped auto attacks, and he doesn't much care where you are in the cloud. You're getting chomped either way. So could work out really well against that Discordia pick.
Yeah, another good matchup for him there in the mid lane, but despite this strong start for Wolves at 2-1-0, this game is still very, very close, 3-3. We're only about 10.5 minutes in here. 200 gold difference is nothing. The 100 experience difference is literally nothing. I mean, at this point, even though Wolves has gotten up to a stronger start in solo, there's been good responses from Rapio, good rotation from 50-meter fly to certainly keep things very, very even.
And both teams kind of lack in the late game, in my mind. Bakasura has a really tough time once the 5-on-5 team fights start happening because even though true damage is great, it takes a couple autos for it to really start to rack up in the damage, and you just don't get an opportunity to hit that many autos in the late game most of the time. So I don't love Astral Authority's comp in the late game, but I'm also not in love with Rivals overall. I think theirs is better overall, but I still don't think that either team has a massive advantage come the late stage, even though I'd favor Rival a bit.
Yeah, they got an opportunity, though, to itemize in some strong physical defense. Even though Bakasura can kind of chew through it, you still get stuff like the procs off like Midgardian mails and that sort of thing. So certainly still some good items for them to slow down the Jingwei and the Bakasura, potentially even the Unbot. So we'll see how that works. As MOR Wolves does not go with the Hasten Katana here early. It looks like he wants the stone cutting sword instead.
I think stone cutting is a great item for Bakasura because it allows him to get off more autos in the thick of a team fight. But I still think Wolves will likely want to get a Hasten Katana at some point in this game. Surprised that Predators doesn't just rust Midgardian mail because Midgardian shuts down that chase potential for Wolves very, very easily. Not in the ultimate because Wolves does get CC immunity whenever he first casts Regurgitate. But outside of that, I feel like that might have been the right opportunity for Predators to get safety in this lane so that Wolves can't just slice him up with those Butcher Blades.
He has the opportunity to go into it here now as he went with the Glad Shield before that to try and slow down what Wolves going to be doing on this Bakasura pick. So we'll see if that is where he goes as he continues to get a little bit bullied. Rapio's here to get the blue, so got to be a bit careful. So is Layers, though, as well, rotating over. They even have, it looks like, Inbound, at least nearby, if things do start to pop off.
Layers going for an early Transcendence, really trying to just get as much burst damage as possible on this Hunbats. Also gets a little bit of CDR. Is a great item for Layers, who can now easily itemize into a Jotun's Wrath to get as many Fear No Evils off as possible.
Layers is here. Fear No Evil comes out, but able to dodge it perfectly as 50-meter fly. He actually did take a death here earlier. I didn't even mention that's a big deal since he does so well, but Predators forced to use the sprint to get away from MOR Wolves over here in the solo lane, and another relic force there by Astral Authority.
Man, that's a really nice reaction, though, from 50-meter fly.
Isn't it?
To get out of that Fear No Evil without having to use any sort of investment at all. Look at that. Wolves jumps on the wave in front of two people.
And they don't
uses
turn
only
around.
escape. And they go, yeah, that's cool by us. We feel good about that.
Yeah, we still don't want a part of that. By the way, we still don't want to turn around and fight Bakasura because he's just so strong. Rapio feels forced to use the ultimate, I believe.
Okay. All right, look, I get giving him respect. You deserve to get, he needs to get that respect, but that's a little bit too much.
Good damage from Oboronic. Comes out. 50-meter fly's ultimate does eventually chase down Oboronic and get the damage off. 50-meter flyer's got to retreat now through space and time. Doesn't hit. Unstable Vortex doesn't either. 50-meter fly is okay, and now Predators can come in, but doesn't land anything with his ultimate.
A couple whiffs there, and Rapio probably wishes he had his ultimate right about now, but Astral Authority will use a lot on that left side, but Wolves is going to get a free tower on the right. Split pushes that down very, very easily. Rival doesn't go for Gold Fury, and that's where I would have gone right away, knowing that every teamfight ult was down for Astral Authority, and the one member that I'm most scared of, Bakasura, just used his ult on the right, so why not just go straight for gold there?
You call that split pushing. I call that not interested in rotating whatsoever. Isn't that what it feels like when Assassin's over in the solo lane, right? Lokis will kind of do the same thing. Like the Warrior will rotate to try and help, and the Assassin's like, nah, I'll just chill and farm and take your towers. And Wolves is able to grab that with the Bakasura, no problem. Mystical Mail is the next move that he goes into as well.
And Thorns.
Yeah.
Not in love with the Thorns pickup, because Thorns is the relic that says hit me, and Baka doesn't really want you to hit him that much, because Wolves wants to itemize probably a little bit more offensively than most Warriors. I mean, even with the Stone Cutting Sword, he already is offensively itemized more so than most Warriors, and I just don't know that he's ever going to be tanky enough to be okay with Vaporish Coast trying to shred him. Now, in the instances where Baka and Rom are trading autos and one is dying and the other one is living at very low health, Thorns can be the swing vote there, the kind of determining factor in those engagements, so maybe that's exactly what Wolves is going for, but that still seems like an awfully edge case where Beads would probably help him out, or Aegis probably help him out more consistently in this game.
DineOhSaw goes in, finds the stun, and the Ultra comes out and inbound immediately, but Fear No Evil pins DineOhSaw. Rapio is up in the air, and he comes crashing down, able to slow down oBoronic, or rather Layers, who goes to the overhand smash and is able to jump away. Snipes come out from Vapor's Coast, but Coviiii is the one that finds the first kill here in this fight.
Coviiii, really good rotation in the right spot, and now he's looking for more. Has Airstrike available, just a couple more autos on a DineOhSaw should do it. Airstrike will do good damage, and Inbound will finish it off with the crushing walls. Wolves gonna join the fray in the mid lane, rooted and knocked up. He's gonna jump backwards because Predators is about to transform.
But it's still a good fight for Astral Authority, even though Wolves gets deterred in the mid lane. They get the kill on the Rapio as well as on the DineOhSaw. They don't have to give up really anything on their side. They don't feel comfortable going for Gold Fury off the back of it, though. So it is still just a couple kills, but now they have for themselves about another 1,000 or so gold lead that they earned right here, and now they are pulling this Gold Fury. Predators is around, though, so they're not going to go all in.
I don't like that call to drop, though. I mean, it's a half-health Coviiii with no ultimate. What are you worried about? Fly's coming back from base. You know he wasn't there. Just a little bit too gun-shy in my mind from both Rival and Astral so far in this game.
And that's interesting, too, because they selected a Bakasura, right?
Yeah.
Does that feel gun-shy at all? But they go for the gold. They can't go for the gold for. They end up feeling too nervous about it, back off. Playing it a little bit safe there when perhaps they could have forced Predators into at least a bad fight and maybe get the kill. Instead, though, they just go back to their respective lanes and hold on to their about 2K gold lead.
Now that Layers has that Jotun's Wrath done, love to see him try and just drop as many ults as possible. A lot of them have been directed at DineOhSaw thus far, and oBoronic doesn't have the damage to punch through that HP from DineOhSaw quite yet, but now Layers might have the damage necessary to do so with that Jotun's Wrath finished off and the fully stacked Transcendence in the inventory as well. DineOhSaw has good physical defense in the Sovereignty and good HP coming from Silver Talisman on top of it, but still is only level 12. 2 level 15 damage dealers in Hunbats and Giannis are going to be difficult for him to deal with.
For a little while longer, certainly, and that's what we saw in that last fight, right? The two supports ended up kind of being the targets after the initiations, and some good damage able to go into both of them here. We'll see how much longer they'll be able to keep that up as they continue to itemize. Still not backing yet. Level 12 for DineOhSaw. Has a second relic coming to him in just a moment. Inbound will be ticking over to that here momentarily. And we'll see where it is that they choose to go as DineOhSaw gets the stun, has to retreat from Inbound.
It's all going to push up,
Maybe
though,
not,
because Oboronic's portal is down, but look at how much damage that Unstable Vortex did to DineOhSaw. Barely any at all, and that was with a Soul Gem proc. Just no pen in the build, really, for oBoronic yet, outside of the boots, and that's not going to be enough to punch through the natural tankiness of a Guardian, let alone the Silver Talisman on top of it.
Yeah, MOR Wolves continuing to show very little respect over here in the solo lane. Jumping into the tower, Root does land, and Predators comes in for a little bit more. Both of our solo laners have gone for that Mystical Mail, so they've got the extra pulses ticking out the whole fight, doing some extra damage for them as well.
I think that favors Predators, though, because he can use that HP and health, HP and protection a little bit more effectively, and he's getting healed with the Gladiator Shield from his Rage form, too, that's just constantly ticking, that's doubling up that constant tick damage overall.
But a lead has developed for Coviiii. If you come take a look at the duo lane, level 17, Vapor's Coast only just turned over level 16, and for the most part, Vapor's Coast is like kind of controlled this matchup, and Coviiii finally finds himself where he's a little bit ahead on the Jingwei.
Coviiii looking good in this one, and that's why the Jingwei has been banned away from him so often. He definitely looks the most comfortable on this pick out of any hunter in the cast, in my mind.
Red buff being invaded. The rest of Team Rival is coming over for the collapse. DineOhSaw dashes in. Fear No Evil, though, to control him. Rapio goes for the response up in the air, but through space and time brings DineOhSaw a low overhand smash, puts an end to that one. Vapor's Coast is jumping away, but Inbound gets controlled by Rapio with the Anvil of Dawn. But Layers wants to keep fighting. Aegis has to come out already, and he blinks in with the Sacred Monkey.
Layers pretty low, but forces Rapio back. Vaporish knocked up and crushed immediately upon landing. Well played there by Astral Authority. They just group better than Rival. Rival kind of scrambling to keep up in the rotation and trying to get on the right targets at the same time. And Predators comes over to stop the Gold Fury. And Wolves can get Phoenix here potentially.
Yeah, he is not going to stop, and Predators has got to make this happen. They go in for Coviiii, who airstrikes away. He should be perfectly safe, and Rapio is low. Has to watch out for Layers, who does get hit by the wall, so can't find the overhand smash. They send DineOhSaw back to try and stop the push from MOR Wolves, who's happy with it. Yeah.
Respawn comes up in time to make sure that Wolves doesn't get that Phoenix. And I didn't notice that Wolves had already used the ultimate to get the tier 2 tower. With ultimate, Wolves had potential to get an early Phoenix here, but this Bakasura pick has really been the difference in my mind. Alongside making Layers comfortable, he's been able to get his farm consistently, and the lack of Robin selection has really hurt Rapio in my mind, because he has just not been able to play aggressive, and that's partially because of the Baka pick, but also just the comfort level doesn't seem to quite be there with the Thor in comparison to the Robin, and Layers has been able to get a lead for himself this game, whereas Rapio, in every game so far this set, has had a significant XP lead by this portion of the game.
Yeah, haven't seen too much from this Thor pick just yet for Rapio, so see if he's able to make it happen a little bit more as the game goes on. But Rival, they did a good job responding once we got to a little bit ahead of this last time in this same point by grouping up in the team fights. Is Astral actually going to grab this Gold Fury for themselves? No response from Rival at all. That is going to help out with this gold lead a good bit now, even further out in front. This is where Rival looked good last game, but now it's Astral creating even more distance.
5K in the lead near nearly 6K in gold, over 6.6 in XP, and Wolves is gone for full tank Baka, by the way. So that Thorns pickup makes more sense to me now that he's committing to the tank Bakasura style of build.
But the question is, does that overall idea make sense? The full tank Bakasura, do you like it? Or?
It does. I still think I'd rather see at least a little bit more damage, but he could always finish off that high the Nemean Lion or whatever he's building and then get a final item that does some damage.
Wolves does get caught on the backside. The wall stuns him out. Predator's here for a little more damage. The Thorn comes out. Looks like the rotation coming in from Inbound as well. They're trying to split the focus through space and time. Doesn't hit quite anyone, but could get the team here a little bit faster. Team Rival, we're looking towards the Pyromancer, but can do that no longer.
Now Astral can, though. They've got the ward vision, and Coviiii is going to get this tier 1 tower most likely in the mid lane. Fly going to come in and try and prevent that from happening, but he's a little bit too late. Coviiii uses the beads anyways, but now just takes the boxing fight 1v1.
Airstrike is used to go up into the air, but can't quite find the mark. Instead, going to come in and hit Rapio in the back. He goes right into the spin, and 50-meter Fly comes over to help take him down. DineOhSaw gets a little bit of healing off, and now he's got to retreat. Pyromancer has not been taken yet, but they have found a kill. Has Rival.
Right, but Rival just got 2 towers on the left-hand side and the kill, and they might be able to take this fight as well. oBoronic gets walled off beautifully, has to use the beads, gets through the portal just barely, but that's what Rival needed. Coviiii should just group with the team there, go to Pyromancer, or the rest of Astral has to go to Coviiii in that spot. The fact that they split their calls is just bad. Just bad Smite there.
They aren't able to get the Phoenix, so Layers is the one that goes back to stop the push that was coming out from Vaporish Coast. Pyromancer still stands as well. But this is sort of what I was talking about from last game. It took a little bit longer, but when this sort of big grouping is happening from both teams, that's where Rival's starting to shine a little bit more. Astral, though, has a much bigger cushion, I feel like, moving into that phase, and we'll see if they can keep that cushion to help sort of create some separation.
And despite that rough little engagement on the right-hand side and mid, it's still Astral with that cushion. They still have it for sure. And there hasn't been a full 5-on-5 grouping quite yet because either Wolves has been pushing or, in that case, Vaporish was pushing on the left. But who's going to answer onto that Bakasura in these 5-on-5 team fights now that he's finished off that high of the Nemean Lion? Can Vaporish deal that relevant damage?
Pyromancer being looked at, but once again has to be dropped. Wolves, Layers, and Inbound are all here to try and stop the push. They go for the Fire Giant. They hold it, and it does go the way of Team Rival. They drop down the ultimate onto Inbound. Through space and time, clips Vaporish, but has to go right up into the air to look for some damage from up above, but lands right back down with the Aegis. Layers there to find him up, but can't find it. Fear No Evil finally gets it done.
oBoronic still in the back line as well, but Rapio comes dunking down. DineOhSaw falls to oBoronic, but Rapio gonna answer right back.
Already 2 members have fallen on the side of Team Rival. Coviiii comes in and gets yet another kill. 3 members of Team Rival are down this time. The wall's coming out, but it feels like a little bit too little too late. Predators, the next one that's in trouble, looking to try and find a return with the Thorns, leaps up with the Salmon Leapers trying to trade, but not enough. oBoronic takes him down too. 4 members of Rival are in trouble, and so is Rapio. Aegis can only save him for so long. Full on deicide. Astral Authority are here to play.
And that's gonna be a Fire Giant for Astral Authority. Rapio trying to teleport in at the last moment and get some damage off, try and trade himself for 1 or 2 more members of Astral Authority, but Hammer clipped the wall and couldn't teleport in quite enough. And take a look at that team fight recap. Very similar damage numbers, within 300 damage of one another. It's just the team focus from Astral was much better that time around. And it was partially that, but also that Rival just spread out too much. Astral was easily able to focus down member after member because Rival made it easy for them. They didn't group properly. They spread out a little bit too much, grouped at the wrong times. That was just a poorly executed team fight from Team Rival.
And Astral's done a really good job of that. They don't initiate, I feel like, in one wave. They have Inbound coming over from one side, Wolves coming over from another, and then Layers has space to come in with the through space, or not through space in time, but the Fear No Evil to create some damage to the team. And the through space in time was big. oBoronic was able to clip Vaporish Coast early on in that fight, had to go up into the ultimate sooner than he wanted, and landed right back down to the Fear No Evil.
Right into that Regurgitate as well, which forced the Aegis and the beads to get him to roll away, or excuse me, just the Aegis was able to walk out to roll away, but it didn't matter because of that Fear No Evil that finished him off from Layers. Playing around that ROM ult is so big, and that's the thing though, Astral Authority win that fight off of oBoronic hitting the big snipe. That isn't always reliable. That's not a consistent way to win team fights over and over and over again. We see that a lot with pro-level teams all the time, where Giannis teams will win team fight, win team fight, win team fight, because their Giannis is hitting these incredible ultimates, you know, big unstable vortexes. But Giannis, it does have inconsistent damage, and that's something Astral has to be wary of. If oBoronic misses a snipe, then they have to be ready to have a harder fight ahead of them.
Wolves is going to keep this wave pushing in mid lane. Now they all have Fire Giant. Meanwhile, the rest of the team trying to defend the Tier 2 in duo. Rapio finally is going to make the rotation over. I don't think it's going to be in time. Tier 2 should be going the way of Astral without any problem at all, and they can keep pushing the Tier 2 in duo as well.
Wolves coming around the back, and that's going to force Rival to respect his rotation in for the moment, but looks like Rival is still willing to maybe take a defense on this Tier 2 tower, down 8K. Now they realize that Phoenix is probably just the call. The difference between being down 8K and 9.5, not really relevant enough to throw away a game on a Tier 2 tower like that. Take the easier defense on the Phoenix.
Astral Authority looking much better here in this game, and they kind of had you backs up against the wall. Rival win this game. They win the set. They're up 2-1 right now as Gold Fury goes the way of Astral Authority as well. And finally, we are seeing that last item come out here for MOR Wolves. It is going to be the Hasten Katana, so he is going to get a little bit of extra offensive capabilities with that, but still, with all that defense, he's kind of trying to be yet another frontline presence for him.
Would love to see Wolves maybe even sell the boots. Don't need that extra bit of movement speed when you've got two katanas plus your passive. Could even go, I mean, you could go for something like a winged blade, not that many slows on Team Rival to worry about. Could be a witch blade to slow down the attack speed from Vaporish Coast, something that'll supplement your attack speed, or your movement speed rather, but not really necessary overall. Could even go for something like a Mantle of Discord, honestly. Not go any sort of movement speed and just get even tankier, because at this point, he is incredibly tanky. Especially, remember, when he uses Eat Minion, he gets a ton of protections, like a ton of prots for free for just eating a minion. So now you're going to be in a much better spot. 30 all prots, so you get 60 protections total, which is just crazy. You add that into the 179, 200 nearly from his physical defense. You're impossible to bring him down quickly if you're Vaporish or Rapio.
Now it's time for Rival to try and make the defense up against Astral. Wolves is moving into the Phoenix to get damage onto it. Layers here with him as well. They bring Rapio over and 50-meter fly for the defense. Meanwhile, they're going in aggressive. Is DineOhSaw on the left-hand side. They get the knock-up. oBoronic is half health, but Layers is here with the Fear No Evil. DineOhSaw already got to pay the ultimate price. Meanwhile, the ultimate comes out on the Wolves, so it's 1v1 thanks to Vaporish Coast. Able to use the portals to get away as oBoronic.
Rapio was looking for him, but the extra escapability of that Giannis gets oBoronic away just barely. Wolves falls before he get the ultimate off, and the Phoenix still stands. Little bit curious that Astral takes two of their best team fighters and pulls them away from the team fight and allows Rival to initiate in a 4v3 scenario without Fear No Evil there, without Regurgitate in that spot, but they don't end up losing too much for it. But it was close. If oBoronic falls there and Rapio is able to stay alive, and that could have been a really, really terrible engagement for Astral Authority. They could have lost a Phoenix off of it, potentially.
And that was right around when the Fire Giant would have been falling off anyway, the actual buff itself. So good timing there from Rival, and Astral sticking around a second too long, but they do get a couple kills, so there's no way for Rival to push forward any. Fire Giant will be back up here in about another 15 seconds, so they can grab that one for themselves. But, I mean, how good is the siege from this Astral composition? I mean, are they going to be able to break this base of Rival that easily?
Earth and Fury heals all wounds.
That's fair.
Any sort of...
It's a good ability.
Any sort of hole in your team composition. Hey, we don't have enough damage. Earth and Fury. Hey, we don't have enough sustain. Earth and Fury. We don't have any protections. Earth and Fury. It does everything for you. And even in siege situations where it's difficult for us to break the base, let's just Terra ult them, and then they do less damage to us. We do more damage to them. They take damage. We heal. We heal for more if they hit us. You get to not worry about your entire team fight nearly as much.
That's just how strong that ultimate is. And I feel like Seed is in particular, where everyone is kind of clumped up a little bit. It can be a little bit stronger even than some other situations. So we'll see how well Inbound is able to make use of that Earth and Fury as they go for their push. Meanwhile, though, they've got plenty of safe damage. Does Rival for their defense from 50-meter fly, from Vaporish Coast. Can DineOhSaw and Predators, though, continue to make a strong enough front line for them?
I think that Discordia is one of the hardest mages in the game to siege into. Everyone talks about Thoth and Ra and Kukulkan and gods like that, but Discordia, man.
Ask Dignitas, right? About that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, nightmares going back to that. The Strife is so good on the defensive because you just have so many less options from where to stand apart from your teammates. You're just more likely to be grouped together on a siege.
Looks like the Siege is going to be on this left side yet again from Astral Authority. They do have, though, the split going. MOR Wolves is all the way over in solo. For a moment, Layers in mid, but he's grouping back up with the rest of the team. They're pulling Rapio over, who hasn't been doing all that much anyway. Gets chunked there by those Butcher Blades and has to fall back. They send 50-meter fly to clear again, and now they come back to defend one more time.
Now, Rapio does have an ultimate that'll get him over to the left-hand side much more quickly than Wolves can, but Wolves is kind of okay with that. He kind of wants this Phoenix, not the fight.
Vaporish Coast gets deleted almost immediately. Aegis keeps him alive for a second, but the Hunter is already gone. Layers finds him quickly. Rapio's in trouble on the right-hand side as well. It's a problem for Team Rival as they continue to push on the Inbound.
Predators trying to back up now through space and time, get a chunk him for over half his HP, and then oBoronic will finish him off anyways. Coviiii looking for Fly underneath the Phoenix, won't be able to find him, and Rapio will find Coviiii with the dunk, but not quite enough damage yet.
Yeah, the airstrike gets him out of there. Using the Aegis as well, but I feel like he was already out at that point. Wolves going to continue to push Phoenix on the right-hand side, and now Team Rival have to decide, can they make it in time to defend? Do they continue to defend on the left-hand side? Astral Authority have completely pulled apart Team Rival here in this game. They don't know where to defend.
Layers makes a huge individual play underneath that Phoenix. His crits are what brought down Vaporish before he could really react.
That was huge.
The relics were late, but you can't really blame him for it because I don't think anyone was expecting that level of burst from the Hun Bats.
Yeah, Vaporish did not get to be in that fight at all, because that's how it started. Layers blinks onto him and takes him down. Now the siege continues onto this incredibly stubborn left side Phoenix. Vaporish Coast is now finally back with us among the living, so he can help them out, but they've got to clear fire or minions on the right-hand side as well.
oBoronic has ult and both relics available again, but Coviiii doesn't have any relics to his name, though neither does Vaporish, but Wolves is here all alone underneath this Phoenix. He's going to use his ultimate just for CC immunity.
And he's fine with that. All he wants to do is keep pushing up minion waves and threaten these Phoenixes and pull Rival over to response. DineOhSaw goes in, wall lands on the Coviiii, so that's good free poke on the side of Team Rival. But still, Astral Authority continue to knock on the door.
Fire Giant's only on them for about another 45 seconds, and Coviiii doesn't have beads for 25 of those, so it will be difficult to break the base, but Layers is going to have beads up in 20. I imagine that could be the go sign for Astral, whatever Layers has those beads available.
Able to find some good damage as Vaporish Coast. Coviii's about half health and forced to fall back. oBoronic is sending out that soul gem to try and keep everyone topped off as Layers goes in with the Fear No Evil yet again. Vaporish Coast is the target yet again, and Vaporish Coast falls yet again. Next up is Predators. oBoronic catches him with the portal. DineOhSaw is low, and oBoronic finds a double kill. Wolves continues to push in the insane 50-meter fly, drops the ultimate, so they almost turn that one around, and he does. So Wolves end up falling, but it's too late. Left side Phoenix is already down.
Rapio can't save his mid laner's life, and now it's only the jungler left alive for Rival, and that won't be enough. We're going to Game 5.
Yeah, it's looking like Astral Authority have finally found a way to answer this Team Rival composition, and now how thankful are they that they earned that one-game advantage. It's a set point here at this point. They only need to win one more. They have slowed down this Rival train, and the Astral boys are looking much, much better.
And Layers plays so well in that last siege, just eliminates Vaporish Coast, back-to-back fights on that left side Phoenix, and Vaporish, without beads, you just cannot put yourself in a spot to get blinked on by Hun Bats. You just will never survive that engagement if you get blink ulted by Hun Bats without purification beads in the late game. You have to stay back. You have to just be able to use that ultimate as your damage tool and wait for Fear No Evil to come out. That was a bad mistake from Vaporish.
But Ryan, what's your next pocket pick, right? Do you have another Bakasura waiting if you're Wolves? I mean, a third thing to go to? I mean, that I feel like is what really disrupted the flow from Rival that game. Where do they go now?
That's a great point. Maybe they just go right back to the Bakasura.
Sure.
What does Rival do to get ready for it? You know, do they pick? You can't get much more pressure than Coviiii. I think the Thor pick wasn't quite right for Rapio.
I agree.
I think the Awilish would have been the better selection, and maybe that's what their coach Joey will tell them in between games. They go back to that sort of pick. Maybe take the Hunbats away from Layers. He played so well. I just can't imagine a world where Astral gives Rival Robin again. They just cannot afford to do it because Rapio looks like a different player on that god.
Yeah, in that game in particular, I felt like Rapio kind of vanished for them. But who was your MVP in that game on the side of Astral as they finally find a game here in this best-of-5 set and we move into this Game 5? This is what's going to determine it here right now. Who is going to be the champion for this tournament? We'll find out soon enough. Desk, please break it down.
When the going gets tough, the tough get weird. Bringing us the Baka Sora Rival faltered to it. I hate to say I told you to, so.
It wasn't because of the Baka.
Yeah, I'm with this guy all the way. I think that the Bakasura pick definitely played out much better than what we both thought that it would, and I still have a couple of gripes with it. But, you know, if it works, it works, and sometimes that's just the way that it breaks down. But I think that oBoronic really just carried out of his brains on that Giannis.
I agree, totally. The mobility here, he was able to disengage during that left side Phoenix Siege where everybody just got chunked really hard, and with the sustain from Terra, with the disengage from oBoronic as well, I'm feeling that oBoronic played lights out, and it doesn't really matter what god he's playing because he's going to perform very well on it. However, the Giannis just amplifies it even further with the portals for not only himself but his teammates.
oBoronic able to do things in the middle of everything, but the difference maker, according to the fans, was MOR Wolves. This guy came through on the Baka Sora, and I feel you on the oBoronic. I think that this guy definitely had a big part of everything, but First Blood was really important, and I think this Baka Sora changed the way that Rival had to play the game.
It was that turnaround, though, from Predators where I think he was feeling himself just a little bit too much there, kind of just hoping to get the trade out in the end, and that kind of just set him on the back foot throughout the rest of the laning phase. And here, again, it's just Wolves taking full advantage of the lead that he was given early on.
Predators needs to be on a leash. Somebody needs to yank that leash during the early laning phase and allow him to actually do things in the mid to late game without giving an advantage to his opposition. A Baka Sora that doesn't get ahead stays in a totally neutral state, but a Baka Sora that gets that first blood that early, yes, you're going to be able to rotate, make those plays, start impacting the mid lane, and that's where things can get a little bit dicey.
I also think that on top of everything else, the only real issues I had with the Baka Sora pick is we were actually talking about it was the build. I think that if he had gone full damage plus like a Mantle of Discord, because whenever you go for an assassin solo, I can totally understand why you would think that you might need a couple of tankier items, but I think if you're playing an assassin in the solo lane anyway, unless it's Circuit, you can probably just build full damage. You're clearly taking a risk anyway. You're clearly wanting the damage from that assassin, otherwise you wouldn't be playing it. And
That's fair.
Wolves is a carry guy. Baka Sora can be a hard carry god. He's known as a hyper carry in the late game even. And I do think that Astral might have been able to close out this match a little bit sooner even had Wolves just gone for the damage option from the start.
I think he was thinking about the late game. Going for the Thorns and the second Relic slot was important for him to be that buffer, create that distraction in the backline, take the 1v1s also up against Rapio's Thor to allow that first Phoenix to go down in the solo lane. And when you're going to try to absorb and trade shots fire with fire, you want a little bit of protection to help ease that pain.
And don't forget, you're also getting a lot of true damage off of the Butcher Blades as well. So second ability doesn't do any damage whatsoever. First ability, we really count the damage the jumps do.
It's quite a bit, and it shreds protections, actually.
That's a big deal, but extra power wouldn't help the protection shred.
I just really like that Wolves took the initiative to just split push the right-hand Phoenix, being able to finally breach into Rival's base, because otherwise, I think that might have been starting to favor Rival even towards the late game, because they're the ones that had the ranged hunter, and I know that with the double assassin, it can be a little bit complicated as far as just sieging in general.
Sure.
But fortunately enough, because of oBoronic having such like excellently placed ultimates and helping to delete Vaporish Coast, it was all about killing Vaporish.
Yes.
That's all he had to do. He was the main source of damage for Rival, so you take him out, then the base is probably yours.
I loved watching this team come together because this was a team win for Astral Authority. oBoronic did a lot of the heavy lifting from the middle lane. Wolves was able to impact as well by way of damage from that solo side assassin. And then, of course, the jungle did what he did. But even Coviiii stepped up once or twice. I mean, this was a full team victory for Astral Authority, which I think is one of the most important things going forward. We were discussing the human element, and that's why we're spending a little bit more time on here. The human element is the fact that these guys have been playing for a while, and so we're giving our players a break. We'll get into our final game in a moment. But there's also the other human element of the tilt, the frustration factor, whatever you want to call it. There's a world where getting to this game 5 the way that Astral did, Toli, I think was very important.
They felt comfortable when it started, obviously, in the set, because they had that one game advantage being in the upper bracket finals. So giving up the next two, they surprisingly brought it back in this game, but they also made it super spicy. Whenever your back is against the wall, you don't take these kinds of risks, but it worked out and panned out, and I'm expecting them to definitely throw another curveball here in this last and final game 5.
I mean, I always look to PC Rival, right? We saw last year in the summer, where were we? Valencia, right? Where they found themselves in an elimination game against Team Dignitas, and they continued on by playing Ares solo, right? And so many more examples where these teams, and what I think it is we get so focused on how off-meta or how spicy or how strange these picks are. But at the end of the day, what I think it comes down to is the fact that it is, all right, it's win or go home, so I'm going to play what I'm good at. Meta be damned. And I think that's really important, that Bakasura look good.
Keeping the Zeus and the Ratatoskr out of the match, I think, is really important if you are Astral looking to beat Rival. I also think it's just as important, though, for Rival to strip away that Giannis from oBoronic. oBoronic, every single time he gets to Giannis, whether his team wins or doesn't, he just has way too sound of a match, and I think that it just gets too complicated trying to focus any singular member of Astral.
Players get